A high-end boutique's director was convinced she could shame Sandra Bullock for her too laid-back outfit, never guessing who she was messing with. But when Leonardo DiCaprio stepped inside, his reaction silenced everyone, and you won't believe how this saga unfolds. What happened next became an unforeseen scandal. Before we dive in, tell us where you're watching from. And if you love stories like this, subscribe. Tomorrow, we have another exclusive tale. Boutique. Eloise Paris wasn't just any shop. It stood as a sanctum for the super rich. Its discreet facade hid an opulent interior, sumptuous leather armchairs, imported Persian rugs, and shelves bearing only the most coveted designer pieces. Every detail whispered exclusivity, from the lingering woody scent in the air to the champagne offered only to the select few. Soft instrumental jazz played as if to remind visitors, if you have to ask the price, you can't afford it. Overseeing these unspoken rules was Helena, the boutique's manager. Her gaze was as sharp as a razor. Nothing escaped her notice. Should anyone unsuited to the establishment enter, she'd spot them instantly. Clad in a tailor-made black dress and sky-high heels, she carried herself like armor. Here she was, selling more than clothing. She was selling status, and she'd defend it at any cost. The gentle chime of the doorbell signaled a new arrival. At first glance, this woman would have been invisible anywhere else. White hoodie, plain sweatpants, a black cap hiding much of her face, brown hair tied casually, dark glasses masking her eyes. In any store but this one, she'd have blended in. Here, she stuck out like a sore thumb. Helena, adjusting a diamond necklace on a VIP client, froze mid-breath as her eyes locked on the newcomer. Tourist, she thought. One of those looky-loos who snap photos, gawp around, and leave empty-handed. That would not be permitted. Stepping forward with imperceptible grace, Helena approached. Clara, poised at the counter, could already sense what was coming, and those who knew the truth felt a pang of injustice on Sandra's behalf. Sandra Bullock sauntered through the displays, her fingers trailing along luxurious fabrics. She adored fashion, yet despised the hierarchy it spawned. "Can I help you?" Helena's voice floated from behind, polite, yet laced with frost. Sandra turned, offering a courteous smile. "Thanks, I'm just browsing." Helena's smile remained impeccably poised. "Do keep in mind we only carry exclusive custom-made items. Nothing here is placed at random." The subtle condescension was unmistakable. "You don't belong." Sandra pressed her lips together. "I gathered as much." Helena, taken aback by the retort, blinked. Perhaps the hint would be enough. Yet Sandra stood her ground and reached for a new season dress, an ultra-exclusive piece with a price tag few could bear. Helena's patience snapped. With a discreet wave to Clara, she issued her unspoken command. "Watch that woman." Clara complied, though discomfort pricked her conscience. As Sandra continued unhurried, whispers rippled through the VIP seating area. "Did you see her? In a hoodie and cap?" The comments weren't loud enough to register, but Sandra sensed them anyway, and chose not to respond immediately. Helena, alarmed by the browsing, marched over. "Ma'am," she said curtly, "perhaps something more suited to your style?" Sandra arched an eyebrow. "My style seems fine to me." Helena's trained smile faltered. "We also offer more casual pieces that might make you comfortable." A knowing smile crossed Sandra's face. "You think I couldn't afford it?" Helena stiffened, outraged by the implication. "Not at all, just appropriate." This calm but cutting exchange left onlookers breathless. Assistants averted their eyes. The VIP client ceased her chatter. Sandra studied Helena, then softly laughed, controlled yet ringing with confidence. Helena's facade of control wavered. "If you insist on trying that dress, ma'am, I can arrange a fitting room." Her tone dripped disdain. "Embrace the embarrassment." Sandra, clutching the garment, raised an eyebrow but said nothing. Then Helena, unable to resist one more jab, added, "Perhaps our more affordable boutique 3 blocks away is better suited to you." Gasps rippled through the room. Even Clara held her breath. Sandra's lips curved in a low, disbelieving laugh. "You really think I belong there?" Helena's eyes flashed. "I only want to ensure an exclusive experience." Sandra's next words cut deeper than any insult. "Funny, when I walked in, nobody offered me champagne." A hush swept the boutique. Champagne was the mark of a valued client. The omission stung. Helena, pale with shock, sputtered apologies. "Of course, please allow me." Sandra shook her head. "No need." Then, without hesitation, she approached the register. "I'll take it." Helena's scoffing disbelief echoed from her lips. "Really?" Sandra slid off her sunglasses, baring her face. Recognition rippled through the room. Sandra Bullock, Hollywood royalty with a fortune north of $250 million. Helena's world tilted off its axis. She had publicly humiliated one of the most powerful women on the planet. When the door chimed again, the boutique fell into a pregnant silence. Leonardo DiCaprio entered with measured steps, his long, dark coat trailing behind him. His slightly tousled hair lent him an effortless air, yet his eyes burned with quiet purpose. He already knew what had happened here and was searching for one person. He glided through the showroom as if the world around him had paused. Stopping before Sandra, he wordlessly swept her into a genuine, powerful embrace, the relief of reunion shining in his arms. Sandra returned the hug, a soft smile touching her lips. Time froze. Customers stood motionless, assistants covered their mouths, and Clara at the counter held her breath. Even Helena, the unflappable manager, felt her knees weaken under the weight of the moment. DiCaprio stepped back and surveyed the room, his gaze finally locking onto Helena's. She forced a tense smile that no longer conveyed triumph. "I hope they treated you well," he said, his voice calm but laced with irony. The words struck like thunder. Everyone realized this was no ordinary shopping trip. Clients exchanged uneasy glances. Clara's heart pounded. Sandra let out a quiet, assured laugh. "Unforgettable," she replied. Helena's face drained of color. She opened her mouth to speak, but only a stammer emerged. This was a misunderstanding." "A misunderstanding?" DiCaprio echoed, raising an eyebrow. "You really believe exclusivity justifies disrespect?" Helena swallowed hard. I only wanted to maintain the atmosphere." "The atmosphere?" he scoffed. "True luxury is respect." She braced herself, but her carefully crafted facade crumbled. At that moment, her phone buzzed. A message from the boutique owner flashed on the screen. "We have a serious problem. Call me immediately." Helena froze. Videos of the incident were already spiraling across social media, her career unraveling live. Sandra, unwavering, nodded toward Clara. "Shall we go?" Clara, still trembling, removed Helena's name tag and laid it on the counter. "I can't be part of this anymore." The boutique that once felt like Helena's kingdom had transformed into a courtroom. Shoppers drifted toward the exit, muttering in dismay. One VIP guest even declared loudly, "If this is how they treat a Hollywood queen, I want no part of it." Left alone in the growing emptiness, Helena understood that everything she had built over years had collapsed in minutes. Far across the city, Sandra, Leonardo, and Clara found refuge in a quiet cafe bathed in warm afternoon light. The clink of porcelain cups and the soft murmur of other patrons created a tranquil backdrop to the whirlwind they had just escaped. Sandra wrapped her hands around her steaming coffee and glanced at Clara, whose eyes still held a trace of disbelief. "Clara," Sandra began gently, "what will you do now?" Clara took a steadying breath. "I want to work somewhere that values me for who I am, not my uniform or my origins." Her voice was soft but resolute. Leonardo offered a reassuring smile. "I know a few people in the industry who could use your talent and integrity." He reached into his coat pocket and extracted a small notebook. "Here, contacts, introductions." Clara's face lit up in gratitude. Sandra nodded approvingly. "You deserve every opportunity to grow." She paused, then added with a playful lift of her eyebrow, "Consider this a fresh start." Just then, Sandra's phone vibrated on the table. She unlocked the screen and read the notification. "Boutique manager officially dismissed. Viral video hits 20 million views." She let out a soft exhale. Leonardo leaned in. 20 million? That's astronomical." Clara covered her mouth, both horrified and vindicated. "I can't believe how quickly it all happened." Sandra set her phone down and met their eyes. "Some people believe luxury is power," she said, her tone calm and sure. "But true power is knowing how to treat everyone with respect." The cafe's atmosphere seemed to brighten, as if in agreement. Leonardo raised his cup in a silent toast. Clara mirrored him with a broad smile. Sandra savored the moment, comforted by their company and the justice of the outcome. Meanwhile, back at the now-empty boutique, Helena stared numbly at her computer screen. An official termination email from the owner glowed in her inbox. Effective immediately, your services are no longer required. We cannot afford further reputational damage. Her hands trembled as she packed away the last of her personal items. The sleek display cases she once curated now stood barren, the echo of departing footsteps lingering in the hall. The kingdom she'd built had crumbled in mere hours, toppled by a single viral storm. Across social media, decor influencers and luxury commentators dissected every frame of the incident. Hashtags like "respect is luxury" and "boutique fail" trended worldwide. News outlets ran headlines questioning the ethics of exclusive retail culture. Helena's career, once soaring, now lay in ruin. Back at the cafe, as dust settled, Sandra looked out the window at the city lights flickering to life. "Today reminded me of something important," she said softly. "No label, no price tag, no status can replace kindness." Leonardo nodded. "And no dress is worth the dignity you forfeit." Clara set her cup down. "I'll never forget this lesson." They sat together in companionable silence, a trio bound by an unexpected ordeal and the promise of new beginnings. Outside, the night stretched onward, full of possibilities, for justice, for growth, and for the unspoken power of respect.